Hi everyone, welcome back to Edit Tech Club. Today we'll build a modern password strength checker with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Clean UI, glowing strength bar, and a show height button. Let's go! I'll start with the HTML file using the animate abbreviation. We create a skeleton of our HTML. First of all, I'll set the title to password strength checker. Then we need to link to our CSS file as well as our script. src equals to script.js. Okay, we set up everything and ready to start. First of all, let's set the style for our body element. I'll go to our CSS file and then our body family. Let's set it to Ahoma and sans serif as a fallback font. Display is flex because we want to center our container. Justify content to center that horizontally, and align items to center that vertically. Next, we need to set the height to cover the full viewport, so we set it to 100 VH. And finally, the background should be gradient. Feel free to use your own colors here. And I'll save the file. Let's run our app. Okay, let's continue with the HTML file. So we need a division, we set the class, container, and inside the container, first we need heading h2, password strength checker, then another div which wraps the input, set the class to input wrapper, and inside of that, our input element, which is of type password. We set the ID to password and also a placeholder says enter password. Then we need a button to be able to show or hide the password, an ID, which is Hagel btn and class Hagel btn. Its text is show initially, and let's save. Okay, here is our result so far. Let's continue. Next, we need the strength bar. Then we need 4 strength bars inside. Instead of copy pasting, I'll use the animate abbreviation div.classname strength segment, and then we will multiply that by 4. So we'll use the asterisk and then 4, and then I'll press tab. So we have 4 elements. Then we need a label which shows how strong our password is. We need a new division, class strength text. Also, we need an ID for that. Initially, it's too short. I'll save it and you see the result. Let's continue with styling. I'll go back to our CSS file. We are going to style our card here. So, container, the background should be a little darker. Then we need some inner spacing using the padding property and also rounded corners, then a soft shadow here. I'll just use a soft and simple black shadow, and the width should be fixed as well. Let's save that. Nice. Our tiny app is gradually taking shape. Next, let's make the heading pop a little, and also we need to place this input and the button side by side. First, we align the header to center and also add some margin below that, 20 pixels, and also a different color. You see the result. Next, our input wrapper, which wraps both the input field and the button. We set display to flex again to align input and button horizontally, and the width to 100%. And then save it. Now let's make our input roomy and clean. One input, but to be very explicit here, I'll also add the attribute input of type password, and it can be also a normal input since we have that show button. So we'll also add type text. Then we add flex 1, so it takes the remaining space. Some inner spacing. Font size. We round the left side. Without any borders or outlines. So it's supposed to none, and I'll save it. Now you see that it's much better. Then it's the button's turn. Toggle btn class. We need a fixed width so that the layout doesn't jump. 80 pixels. Again, no borders. And we round the right side of the button. And also remove these commas here. We need cursor to change to a pointer when we hover over that, and also the background color and the dark text. Font weight, bold, and let's have a very smooth hover transition. Background and 0.3 seconds. I'll save it. We also need to change the hover color for the background and the foreground. Toggle btn hover, the background color and the text color. I'll save it, and here you see the result. Then our strengths bar, which is a container for our segments, and it's not visible now. We need 4 equal segments. So strengths bar. First, we need top margin 15 pixels to make some space. Also the height 10 pixels. Let's use CSS grid to make the segments layout. We need 4 equal parts. We set grid template columns. Since they are equal, we use repeat 4, and each of them should occupy 1 part. And also we need a gap between the segments, 4 pixels. Okay, this strengths bar was the container. Now we need to style the individual segments. Strengths segment. First, the inactive state. We need a height of 100%, so they will be 10 pixels because their parent has the height of 10 pixels. Then the border radius of 4 pixels, a default background, and also some inner shadow. And finally, we'll add a smooth transition. Now you see that they'll appear on our card. Next, the active state, and we do it by using the active class, which will be set by the JavaScript code. The background color should be the current color, which as mentioned will be set from outside from our JavaScript file, and also a box shadow to make a glow effect. And again, we'll use the current color for that. And finally, strength label. It will be hidden by default, but appears when we focus on the input field. Strength text. We center the label, then margin top 12 pixels. Font weight would be bold, and visibility, as mentioned, is hidden initially. And the default color is this. Okay, I'll save it and see that it's gone because the visibility changed to hidden. Now the magic. JavaScript will add listeners for show height, focus blur behavior, and our strengths algorithm. As a first step, we need to grab everything that we need to work with: the password input, show height button, text label, and those 4 segments. First, let's start with password input. We grab that using document get elements by ID and the elements ID. I'll copy and paste this line to save some time. Then our button, toggle password. The ID is toggle btn. Next, our text label element. And finally, the segments. Here, instead of get element by ID, we use query select all because we need a list, and we use the CSS selector for that. Strength segment, and also we need to change the variable name to segments. I'll zoom out a little, and this strength segments points to these 4 items. So far, if we enter some characters here, nothing happens. These strength bars don't work, and also our button doesn't work because we just grabbed these elements and we haven't done anything with them. Next step, we are going to bring some life to our button, toggle password, then we want to add an event listener to that. So whenever the user clicks that button, we have a function here. First, we check the current input type. According to our input type, we need to toggle between text and password and also update this text here on our button. So first, let's declare a boolean is password. We check our password input dot type if the type is password. Then we update the input type. If the type is password is true, then we need to change it to text. Otherwise, if it's a text, we should change it to password. So we toggle between these two. And also, the text content should change. So for the button, we change the text content again according to the Boolean value. If it's a password, we need to display hide, otherwise show on our button. Nice. Let's see if I type here in our input field and then press the button, nothing happens. Let me check. Everything seems to be fine here. Let's check the HTML file. Yes, here there's a typo. So password, I'll save it again. And now let's check it. Yes, you see that it's working as it should. So if I press show, it will show the characters, and yeah, it's toggling between the values as expected. Next step is to add focus and blur for this label that we have here. It's hidden now because we set it to hidden. We set the visibility property to hidden, and it should only appear when the user focuses on this input field, and also it should be gone when it loses focus. Let's go back to our script file and add another event listener for our password input this time. So password input, let's add event listener, focus. Here we change the visibility of the strength text. Strength text.style.visibility should be visible. This makes the label visible. Also, we will add the blur event. We need to check if there's no input. Password input dot length, of course, that value.length is falsy. In other words, if input is empty, then strength text.style.visibility will be set to hidden again. See, yeah, when we focus on that, this text appears, and when it loses focus, it will be gone. Then if I enter some values here and then go away, yeah, it's still there. So it's working as expected. Now, the strength logic. On every keystroke, we'll recalculate the strength. Let me first remove this and go back to our script file. Password input, add event listener. And for input event, we run this function. First of all, we should get the current value. So const password equals password input dot value. Then we need to reset our segments. We have to iterate over them. For each segment, we remove the active class. We check the class list and remove the active to start fresh. Also, we change the color to default. Select.style.color is the default one. This value should be wrapped in quotes. I'll do it. Then, first, we should check the length of the password. If it's less than 6, for example, we change the strength text content and its color, and we quit early. If password.length is less than 6, strength text content would be too short, and its color, strength text style.color, will be the default color. Okay, and then we also need to return to stop further checks. But if the password's length is 6 or more than that, then we should apply our criteria checks. The password should have at least one lowercase character, one uppercase character, a number, and a special character. Let's declare an array of booleans, and each boolean value represents one of these criteria. Const rules, here is our array. To check if the password contains a lowercase character, we can use a regular expression using forward slashes. In between, we add our regular expression. We check if there's a character between lowercase a to lowercase z, and we use the test method. Test the password. This basically checks if a lowercase character exists. We do the same for uppercase character, and for numbers \d, and for special characters we say everything except lowercase characters, uppercase characters, and numbers. I'll save this. Now that we set the rules, we need to calculate the score or the strength of the password. In other words, we need to calculate how many true values exist in this array. We declare a variable strength or score, then we filter the values in this array. For each rule that exists in this array, only return true values and then return the lengths. Next, we need maps for colors and labels. Now that we calculated the score and also declared the colors and labels, of course this is labels, we should fill bar segments based on the score. We need a for loop for let I from 0 to strength, which is our score. First, we need to add the active class to change its style. So add the color to that segment bar. Segments i.classList.add. We add the active class, and also we should change the color. Again, segments i.style, and here we should use our colors array. So colors, and the index should be strength. Let's check if the password score is 1, so we have only one true value in this array, then we expect this segment to be active and its color also should be red, so the first element at index 0 in this colors array. If the strength is 1, this loop executes only one time, and then let's see segments 0, which points to this segment, is active, correct? Then let's check the color. Segment 0.style.color should be set from the colors array, right? But the index is not 1 because, as mentioned, the strength is 1 and index 1 is orange. It's incorrect. We need to decrement this value -1, then I'll save it, and now let's check. Enter some characters. Before 6 it shouldn't be active, correct? I'll also show this. If we only enter numbers, it's red. If we add an uppercase, now 2 of them are active, a lowercase character, light green, and 3 segments, and also a special character which does not work yet. We should check why it's not working. The reason was that there was a typo here. I'll correct that and I'll save it. Let's see. We have lowercase letters, then we add uppercase letters, numbers, and finally special character. Yeah. Let's remove them. Yeah, it's working as expected. Of course, the text is not updated accordingly. We will take care of that next. Let's update the text. Strength text content. We use our labels array, our score, and we subtract 1 from that. Also, we should update the color, style.color, and here we use our colors array. Again, like the strength bars, here we use the score and subtract 1 from that, and I'll save it. Let's see if I enter less than 6 characters, it says it's too short. Let's also check our buttons functionality. Yeah, it's working. If I enter 6 characters or more, then the segment gets active. Also, the text gets updated. Now let's check different passwords. Yeah, if it's more than 5, it's weak. Then I'll add numbers. It's now medium. Then let's change the lowercase p to an uppercase p. Cool, it's now strong. And finally, if we add some special characters like $, you see that it's very strong. And the button is also working. If I remove the character, you see that the segments as well as the text gets updated accordingly. And that's it. A clean password, a strength checker you can drop into any project. If you found this useful, smash like, subscribe for more short practical projects, and tell me in the comments which project you want me to work on next. Until next time, keep coding and stay awesome.